morning all. Today we will learn about the method of artificial vegetative propagation. In this part we will learn about the cutting only. Cutting is the first part of this method of artificial vegetative propagation. But before that, let us see what is meant by artificial vegetative propagation. Here, artificial vegetative propagation, it is nothing but the regeneration of new plant from the portion of vegetative organ, from a small part that may be the stem, that may be the root, that may be the leaves. Okay, from that small part the new plant can be generated, and that small part is known as the vegetative organ, that are very common in lower as well as the higher plant. The process of multiplication in which the portion or the fragment of plant body functions as a propagule and develop into the new plant or new individual is called as a vegetative propagation or vegetative reproduction. Beside the nature or natural method of vegetative propagation, human being have developed the several technique or several methods, and that method is known as the artificial vegetative propagation method. The artificial vegetative propagation can be mostly takes place economically benefited plant. There are two type of vegetative propagation. First one is the natural method of vegetative propagation, and second one is the artificial vegetative propagation. In this topic we will learn about the artificial vegetative propagation. Then what is meant by artificial vegetative propagation? It is in addition to the natural method of vegetative propagation, several artificial method of vegetative propagation are practiced. It is in the process of multiplication of the plant by the use of the part or bud of the selected mother plant. The important artificial method of vegetative propagation is different, like cutting, layering, grafting, but in this topic we will learn only about the cutting. So let us see in this part cutting. What is meant by cutting? The division of portion of any plant organ such as stem, root or leaf used for the vegetative propagation, and that is called as a cutting. Such cutting are most commonly used for this purpose, and factors such as the optimum length, diameter of cutting, age of the parent plant and seasons are to be considered here. While selecting a cutting for each species, some of the plants propagated by the stem cutting such as the sugarcane, grapes, then rose, bougainvillea and like this. So the stem cutting, it is the important cutting and they are generally practiced in our area also. Let us see one by one. Cutting, that is very common and the most important method of vegetative propagation that are practiced everywhere. Second one is the part of the plant which are capable of producing roots and shoots after inserting in the soil or used for cutting. Any part, for example, if we use the root or shoot or stem, when we use the shoot, we are here producing the root, and when we use the root part, then shoot part can be arises from that cutting. It makes use of totipotency as an inherent property of the plant cell. That means the capacity of the plant to produce or capacity of that specific part to produce into the new plant. That is the property of the plant cell. Next one is the cuttings are always taken from healthy plant. Okay, that we know that healthy plants. And next one is that there are different type of cuttings, namely stem cutting, leaf cutting and root cutting. Let us see here a diagram of stem cutting. Here stem cutting at the lower side of the stem cut can be take place, and mostly the cut is 45-degree angle. Okay, slanted cut is taken here. This is the cutting. Let us see one by one the different type of cutting. First one is the stem cutting. That means the any part of the plant or any stem part of the plant can be used for the propagate into the new plant. That is known as the stem cutting. Here stem cutting is most commonly used method of vegetative propagation to produce the different plants, and it is the easiest method among all these methods. Stem cutting are generally done by propagating rose, hibiscus, then geranium, coleus, grape, etc. These all plant. In our area mostly rose, hibiscus, grapes, they can be grown with the help of stem cutting. Small part of stem can be cut, and that is from that plant part the different plant can be grown. There are the three subtype of the stem cutting, in which namely softwood cutting, semi hardwood cutting, and third one is the hardwood cutting. Okay, these are the three method or three subtype of the stem cutting. Mostly stem can be cut into the different sizes, and they can be used for propagate the plant. Here when we cut the stem, some precaution can be take place. First one, the cut stem of 9 to 12 inches long, and the thickness of stem, that is the 1 centimeter. Okay, that is the important point here. The size of stem 1 centimeter. Take upper circular cut. Okay, when we take a section, upper section, it is the circular, that means the straight, slightly above the upper node. This is the node. Okay, this is the node, and above the upper node the section can be takes place on the upper side, and the lower slant cut slightly below the lower node. This is the lower cut, and it takes place, it is the below the lower node. Okay, in this way the cut on the upper and lower side can be takes place. Each cutting with 2 to 3 node and vigorous bud. Okay, minimum 2 to 3 nodes are there. Keep 1 to 2 upper leaves intact and remove all the other leaves to avoid the excessive transpiration and drying of the cutting. Mostly this is the cutting of the rose, and here no leaf is there, but in some cases like the hibiscus, only 2 to 3 leaves can be there, and all other leaves becomes removed from the main plant. In this way cutting can be takes place, but one procedure is there. When we cut the lowermost side, at that time dip the lower end of the cutting into the root growth hormone. Okay, this is important part. Root growth hormone or only growth hormone, lowermost part which is the slanted, it is deep into the growth hormone, and plant 2/3 portion of the twig into the soil with the slanting portion in the pot. Okay, 2/3 part can be sown into the soil. Okay, next one is water the cutting regularly after planting, and maintain high humidity by covering the pot around the cutting. Okay, humidity can be maintained, specific temperature is maintained in that specific soil. Okay, and in this way the root can be arises at the lowermost side of the plant. Okay, in this way the cutting can be takes place. This is the simple and most important part of this chapter, and it can be studied in first year also. Okay, thank you very much.